past 5 years have been a great time period for sports cars, from the Volkswagen GTI all the way up to Koenigsegg's and Bugattis. But while there is a abundance of performance car options out there that we haven't seen really since the 90s, there is also a distant doubt looming whether the current sports car crop can survive into this electric age, or if they will slowly die out and not be replaced. And I think that the bigger manufacturers are a very good sign of where this kind of group of performance cars is going. And there are very clear signs of Chevy, Ford, and Dodge really moving away from these performance cars, like especially with their muscle car lineups. Dodge is very much trying to change their image into something a little bit more eco-friendly. And Chevy is putting development money into V8 and other engines still, but they are most definitely slowing down in their production of these power plants. And I would say Ford is somewhere in the middle. And when it comes to foreign cars, Mercedes-Benz has vowed, even I think a few years ago, that they wouldn't make or develop any more internal combustion engines. And since all of their sports cars are very much internal combustion engine focused, like the AMG GT wouldn't really be the same without its engine and the noises and experience that it provides. I think that once these current engines that they make are phased out due to emissions and all that sort of stuff, they're not going to make any more gasoline-powered cars. And I think that they'll lose a little bit of their brand identity, at least AMG will, through that. And even the Japanese automakers, who have been very slow to adopt these new practices of electric vehicles and more environmentally friendly ways of producing cars, I think will end up, maybe if it's 5 or 10 years down the road, having to follow in the footsteps of the rest of the automotive industry. And that will really leave a hole in the sports car market, because a lot of the best, I guess, cheaper sports cars you can buy now, like the GR86, the GR Corolla, or the GR Yaris if you live in Europe or Japan, and the Nissan 400Z, just to name a few, are very reliant on an internal combustion engine for the majority of the driving experience. And I think that it'll be hard for them if they are not as invested in electric cars. It'll be hard for them to carry over the same passion that they have to making electric sports cars. And Honda with the NSX, even though they've discontinued it, which isn't really as much a sign of the changing market as it is just the fact that the NSX didn't sell well. Even with that, the hybrid technology it had really kind of diminished the spirit of the NSX, which is why I think that they didn't really sell that well, because it made it a heavier car, and it was more of an Audi R8 sort of car, but with probably a little less power and just more heavy and maybe not quite as focused. And I think that that might be a sign of what sports cars could look like in the future, and where the performance car market might be headed. And it very well could be a scary future for fun, enjoyable cars, and they're just going to get more expensive.